Greg, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
You guys have been supporters of Mysten Labs since the very beginning, also deep supporters of Walrus. We've got a lot we've been doing together. Tell us what's been driving your interest. Why Sui, of all the blockchains in the world? Why us?
I appreciate that. You know, I was here a year ago in Paris at Sui Basecamp, and I was on stage telling the world that Sui and Mysten Labs are the best L1 blockchain team in the world. And I'm back here a year later, very happy to say that I still fully support that. And I could not agree more that Mysten Labs and Sui are the best L1 blockchain and now data availability team in the entire crypto ecosystem. And so what we want to do at Franklin Templeton Ventures is support the best teams right in all of crypto. And that's what we're doing here with Mysten and Sui.
It's very great to hear. You mentioned Paris last year. A lot has changed. And since then, we've got a new administration, and we have a whole different view of asset tokenization taking place right now in Washington. A lot of things are happening. There's a lot of discussion about what's going to happen on this next wave of asset tokenization, and whether that's going to happen fast or slow. And I wonder what your perspective is on the drivers of that and the pace.
So certainly right now, stablecoins are the focus. And in the US, we're all expecting regulation around stablecoins probably by August 1st, whether through the Stable Act, Genius Act, or some combination of the two. And stablecoins are a tokenized version of a fund. So they are one specific example of tokenization. And I think broader tokenization, while stablecoins are the focus up front, and you will certainly see onboarding from regulated financial institutions, from banks to clearinghouses to exchanges that we just heard from for stablecoins. In the medium and long term, in the bigger picture of tokenization, I think you're going to see a couple of more things. The first is around collateral. And so along the lines of what the team from the exchange was speaking about, you have a whole bunch of siloed systems, and by putting securities that yield onto the blockchain, you eliminate these silos, and you're able to insert more efficient collateral into different venues within capital markets. In the long run, you'll see tokenization of equities and lots of different securities. And I think the big driver of this is going to be cost efficiencies and the offering of new products or existing products to more customers. And so regulated financial institutions will view this as not only cost savings, but a better way to distribute their product. And so specifically, you've got Larry Fink out there who talks really about two things. He sells Bitcoin, and then he talks about tokenization of equities. Why does he do that? Well, one, because he makes money off of the Bitcoin ETF. And then in the long run, he wants to be able to take all of these siloed databases of equities, fixed income, commodities, and put them all onto one database, which is blockchain. This is what blockchain does best in order to optimize his backend. The reason we know that this works at Franklin Templeton is because we have a money market fund that is on-chain. It's actually the only security in the world that uses the blockchain as the only store of ownership record. There's none other out there like it. And at scale, it saves over 90% of the cost of the TradFi business. And so we know that blockchain works. And the important thing to recognize is that TradFi, just like Franklin Templeton and Jenny Johnson, our CEO, who fully supports this, they will come into this technology because they will see cost savings up front. We've already experienced it, and we hear, other investment advisors and banks talking about this. They will come for the cost savings because it's an immediate benefit to their bottom line. But then, because blockchain offers a completely different paradigm for the back end, they will realize that there are competitive advantages. And these competitive advantages are what we think will drive further innovation and adoption of blockchain technology. And again, the collateral usage is one example of this, because from our Greek exchange conversation, there are these things called clearinghouses, and they're on the hook when trades don't go through, as was mentioned. They're also on the hook for making sure that everyone can cover their trades. And right now, they generally use cash. But the reason that you see the DTCC, which is the largest clearinghouse in the US, Euroclear, Euronext, which are the largest in Europe, either buying or building in blockchain, is because they know that they can make their businesses more efficient and offer new competitive advantages by utilizing the technology.
It's fantastic to see that for so long we've seen proof of concepts emerge out of these institutional asset managers and banks, and it feels we're at a moment right now where the largest institutions are taking real steps forward. In this era, what happens with Bitcoin as an asset? Today it is 60% of crypto's value is Bitcoin. So what happens with in an era where you have large-scale asset tokenization takes place? What is the role of Bitcoin in that universe?
It's a great question. And I think also your point of institutions moving from an era of proof of concepts, which I think dominated from 2016 through 2019, we have moved on to that, to where today you do see commercial grade products, and Bitcoin as collateral is moving in this direction as well. And so a part of our view internally is Bitcoin has won the first product market fit of crypto, which is as an alternative to fiat stores of value. There's no doubt about this, right? It's the number one market value. It's got the best branding in the world. What doesn't it have around it? It doesn't have an L1 that can support an ecosystem at scale, right? If you own Bitcoin, you need to have a certain amount of value that you're willing to transact in. Otherwise, it doesn't necessarily make sense for you to create that transaction or execute it. And so when we think about Bitcoin as collateral, and certainly as we have conversations with regulated institutions who now own it on behalf of clients, and those clients want the most efficient underlying asset that they can possibly own, meaning that if you can own Bitcoin and also stake it in order to earn a yield, or use it as collateral and in order to earn a yield alongside some software, consumers will choose that option. And so Franklin Templeton has a Bitcoin ETF. And so certainly in order to be competitive, they want to be able to offer this. But in order to do that, Bitcoin needs an ecosystem. And that is where Sui comes in, because Sui can offer the technology via bridges for Bitcoin to have this financial services ecosystem around it. And certainly regulated enterprises will be interested and wanting to participate in this to offer to their end clients. And so I think it's mandatory that the largest market value asset in crypto, and a significant one in today's world, have the technology supporting it in order to have its own ecosystem. And again, Sui's building that bridge.
Talk a little bit about MEV if you can. So this has been a controversial topic in other ecosystems where they feel that MEV has been employed in a way that's not favorable to all the participants in the ecosystem. As somebody that's coming from a universe of regulated finance, institutional finance, tell us about the way that MEV needs to evolve in order for it to be broadly adopted as a trading mechanism.
Yeah, so we're super interested in MEV from a number of perspectives. And so one, what is MEV? It's the maximum amount of value that you can extract from executions before the block is built. And so by reordering a block, participants who have the technology and the knowledge to participate in this block building process can extract value for themselves as individual participants, or just a few number of participants in this block building process, that doesn't necessarily flow back to the community. And so One, we have seen issues with MEV on other L1s where, if you look at some of the biggest L1s out there, it has become a very centralized, very opaque process. It's extremely difficult to obtain data about MEV, whether it's the state of the MEV ecosystem or the amount of value out there. But we estimate that MEV is actually one of the 5 largest TAMs in blockchain right now. And the unfortunate thing is, in some of the larger, older ecosystems, not only is it centralized, but it's completely privatized. And a part of this is to protect users, but there are unintended consequences. And so one of the things that we think about from the enterprise side is compliance. When you are leveraging an exchange in regulated finance, it is illegal to reorder executions, particularly for your own benefit. Now, MEV spans a spectrum from completely necessary arbitrage trades to somewhat nefarious, pure value extraction, where there are clear winners and losers from unsuspecting clients. And in regulated finance, that is illegal. Now, there are technical ways that you can avoid this participation in MEV as a regulated enterprise, but it also means that it limits you from interacting with the ecosystem. And so we think that in the long run, regulated enterprises will want MEV solutions in order to open up their own product offerings to their clients, which will be the broader blockchain ecosystem. But in order to do that, there need to be MEV solutions. One of the reasons that I continue to absolutely love the Mysten Sui team so much is that Sui is leading research on how to prevent MEV and make it economical. And they're doing it with a principled approach, which I think is super important, because earlier ecosystems didn't necessarily have the luxury of understanding what the unintended consequences would be, nor did they have the luxury of the depth of knowledge that the Sui and Mysten team have, where you have experienced financial researchers on the team who understand compliance is something that will be dealt with coming down the road. And we need to find solutions for this if we want regulated finance to be able to interact. And regulated finance will want that if it's deemed appropriate, but it cannot be illegal.
Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you. We're always very appreciative of your thoughts and your insights on these topics.
Again, thank you for having me. Thrilled to be here.
All right.